कभी करती हैं मुलाकातें, कभी करती हैं मुलाकातें, कभी यादों में बरसातें, किताबें करती हैं बातें, किताबें करती हैं बातें। मन की गहरी झील में कूद जाती हैं कभी, सोच के दरिया के संग संग बहती जाती हैं कभी। चाहे शाम हो या हो रातें, किताबें करती हैं बातें।
Hello and welcome to our program. On our show today, a journalist for nearly 20 years and an author from Pakistan, Reema Abbasi. Reema, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
Before we move on to your latest offering, which is temples in Pakistan, let's talk about your India connection.
India is second home to me because my paternal side and my maternal side are still here, most of them. So there's Lucknow, there's Chatari, Aligarh, and then there's there's family everywhere, basically in Delhi and Bombay. So I try to come as often as I can and spend time with some of my favorite people here.
As a journalist, you've done some really hard-nosed journalism. You've done crime, social political stories. You've covered incidents, I think, in India and also majorly in Pakistan. And then you write this beautiful, wonderful book full of lovely pictures in an area where many people don't really like to tread, and it's called Temples in Pakistan.
Yes.
What brought you to this stage?
Historic temples in Pakistan, a call to conscience, is not a product of a moment. It's a culmination of a journey, of a very long journey, which basically started brewing in my mind when I was on the crime beat and then, doing columns and editorials with Dawn in Karachi. And then this book itself is a 2-year journey almost. And then travels and going to each historic, or antiquated shrine was about a year of traveling with Madiha Ijaz, a wonderful photographer partner on the book. I started out with culture, lifestyle, and some sort of modeling and this, that, how it is after college.
Right.
You're dazzled and all that. And then you switch, and when I came into socio-political side and the crime side and all that, and then over the last, say, 7 years, we all know that the climate of the country was influenced by a few pockets in the upper north of hardliners, and then we sort of wanted to uphold certain given rights and underline them some more. So, they are your human rights, but there was a need to keep, pushing them.
Right.
And that's where I think the journey started, and my focus, just increasingly became more and more intense on pluralism and on, secularism and sort of that kind of, a kind of environment that is not unfamiliar to Pakistan. And that's very important to remember. Because before, say, maybe the dark years of Zia ul Haq, we were just that, and very liberal and very sort of women communities and you name it, and it was like anywhere else, just like here. As I always say, this may be the culmination of a certain point of that journey. But the quest is on, and I think that we are not very far from the goal.
I think it's a legacy one leaves behind as to how our future generations and even the existing ones, how are they seeing the current social context.
Absolutely.
And so beautifully you put it, you say historic temples of Pakistan. That means there's a shared history.
Absolutely, and it's not just about pilgrimage, it's about that sheer pull of history. I mean, some people may find that forced divine, some people may find it, you know, generated by sheer, you know, the human energy that, you know, is left behind, and I'm a great believer in that. And then history has its own pull, you know. Nothing is under 200 years old in here, it's 500 plus, you know. So to have seen those eras, to have felt those, you know, so many people and so many all kinds of, I'm sure, presence or whatever, and have feelings, whether it's devotion, curiosity, exploration, whatever you want to call it. It's that makes them, you know, so special, so worthy of access and relishing them, and people coming closer. I think we don't really need an excuse. We are one people at the end of the day.
If we are 100% and 99% is the same and one is different, why are we harping on the one?
Exactly.
It's the 99 which links us, you know.
And the 99 are, you know, linked with so much, not deep, you know, roots, emotion, passion, culture, you know, arts and crafts, and you name it, you know, and we have it.
Right.
And it's a kind of a block that can be so powerful together, you know, so incredibly powerful.
Rima, when you write a book, one has certain knowledge, certain information, and there are certain myths in one's head. And I think the whole process of writing a book has so much of learning in it. So what were some journeys that you undertook while writing this book which changed within you?
This book has helped me discover my country. Actually, it has been the reason that I discovered my country. You know, because I was educated in England, and then I came back, and, you know, one tends to be in a bubble, and then one you know, enters a profession like journalism, and you see the world through the eyes of a journalist, as a reporter first, and then as, you know, as a cynical, you know, sometimes columnist or whatever. So these travels revealed my people to me, many beautiful places. You know, I had never been to regions like Thar and Nagar Parkar and the desert stretch, and it's beautiful and the people are beautiful, and I was delighted to see that you know, there's a part of my country where Muslims are a minority, you know. And then Peshawar was wonderful because it was so welcoming, so open, so loving. It was a complete contrast to the image that that it somehow has acquired over time, because it's a 10,000-year-old city with so much heritage and you know, I don't know, eras imbued in its daily life and every little crevice and corner, and it's a haven of tolerance. And you know, everybody practices everything, anything they want, or they don't want to practice at all, and that is also a belief, you know. So it was beautiful. And what broke my heart was really the seat of power, which is the Punjab, you know. And I think that's where I have not set out to whitewash anything, and it's a very clear message in my preface as well, that Punjab was a heartbreaker. And that's where I found that, you know, people are burdened with fear and fearful of their real identities. And I'm not just saying, you know, it applies to Hindus or Christians or something. It would probably apply to somebody like me a lot more, you know, because I'm a woman and I'm, you know, not, you know, covered, and maybe I'm too in their face, and the chauvinism and the, you know, a lot is challenged by my person. And so I think Madhya and I were as much, you know, if not more, in say some sort of a surveillance camera of society.
Okay. So you felt watched.
I felt watched in the quarters that I had to go. I'm not talking about upper crust. I'm talking about, you know, the Anarkali Bazaar, which is the Chandni Chowk side, you know, of Lahore and all that. But otherwise, as a city, as you know, it's exquisite. Yeah, it's a jewel, you know, and it has Mughal emblems, and it has, you know, Sikh Havelis, and it's beautiful.
So when you discovered these historic temples and the historic linkages,
yes,
what was so they were seated in local places, far-flung areas. So what was the local feeling about these places? How did they see them? As monuments, as history, as a link?
You know, when you see the book, you'll be amazed that these places are visited so regularly by Muslims, by of course Hindus, by Christians, by explorers and travelers, and they are just, you know, gems. And actually, when I was researching and then going into history and all that, it gave me goosebumps to understand that some of them predate time, perhaps, you know. I mean, they're so ancient and they're so powerful, really. They really pull you in like, you know, quicksand. And this is what I felt, you know. It's not, and what Madhya felt, I'm sure, because it really is not, you know, rhetoric, and I'm not indulging in some flourish and, you know, getting carried away. No, not at all. I mean, I wandered in those places. I had to do my on-site research, so I measured those places. I touched, you know, the surfaces, the idols, you know, whether stone, whether it's clay, whether it's gypsum, whatever. And
they spoke with different senses.
With different senses, and I walked with bare feet everywhere, and, you know, it was, so I felt it. I felt a place, and I think it occupies, every place in the book occupies a certain space in my heart.
Right.
And definitely this book is a firstborn to me.
Lovely, and firstborns are always so much more special.
Yeah.
I think the largest learning lies with the firstborn.
I'm told that by my father.
Okay.
And my late mother used to say that as well. And I'm a firstborn, so I've heard that one. Yeah.
You know, the firstborns are the gurus.
Yes.
Because they teach us so much.
Absolutely. So anything that follows this will just follow, you know.
Right, absolutely. So coming back again to this book and the journey, that means how we see temples or mosques or churches or cathedrals. They start with the seed of religion, right? Or of faith or a belief, but actually they mean so much more.
They're immense. They're, you know, they are miles ahead of even, you know, maybe the richest of the rich, or the most organized of charity organizations and all that in social welfare. They provide, you know, so much, you know, they're sanctuaries, they're halfway houses for travelers.
Right.
They are places where, you know, hunger and thirst are, you know, looked after. And then they also, of course, give you that sense of I don't know if I want to say faith or if I just want to say hope, both,
Hope, belief,
you know.
faith.
Yes, all,
Yeah.
all the same.
True, and joy.
And joy.
And the challenge is with the human being,
Yes.
because then we want to hijack these spaces.
Yes, you do. No, but you see, sadly, human greed is such that it looks at everything with the eyes of, you know, of a predator. And so there were the unfortunate cases of where these lovely places have sometimes taken a hit, is not on the basis of any caste or creed, but because of the sheer value of that land, because it's so immense, it's so, you know, in prime locations, and you know, it's an ideal space for, you know, tiers of parking and great shopping, you know. So you know, worldly pleasures
They dominate, and collateral damage are
sadly,
places like this.
exactly.
So Rima, what's on the anvil?
Well, I have some, you know, things that I'm thinking about, and I'm hoping to, you know, get more work in India, and you know, get some more columns and maybe another book also. So let's see what the future holds.
But what kind of topics really, you know, get you?
Well, you know, I am equally interested in cinema. I'm equally, you know, I love something to do with that.
Okay.
And music, and so.
Love Hindi cinema?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love all cinema, but absolutely. I mean, I think Mr. Bachchan is maybe second, just
I love the look in your eyes. I
oh
mean,
man, I've had this look since I was 8, and you know, he like Brando, chews up the screen. I mean, what more can one say, you know?
So we started earlier with presence of these monuments and temples, and they mean so much more, and how deeply linked they are to the individual. And you said, like Mr. Bachchan, there's a presence which connects you beyond the acting. You know? Yeah.
Presence is, and the charisma, the voice, I mean, the man's a case study unto himself. I mean, you know, and
I have an indication as to where your next book is going to go. But
well,
this is
no, I mean, I don't want to sound like a, you know, some sort of a fiend. I may be that in secret, but certainly I think from an academic point of view,
right,
he's definitely a very, very important case study. Definitely,
right,
you know.
Absolutely.
And as is Gulzar Saab, another very big favorite.
Another icon, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So here's wishing you lots of luck with your case studies.
Thank
and
you.
how wonderfully, beautifully and pictorially you're going to bring them to us. But
Thank
congratulations on the release of this book.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for giving it this huge place of prominence in Doordarshan and this lovely program. And the honor is mine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
All the best. Lovely meeting you.
I have with us today Buket Uzuner, a Turkish writer, very celebrated and informed and sensitive Turkish writer, all the way from Turkey, to talk about her book I Am Istanbul, in some territories published as Istanbulians, and in India we see it as Istanbulu. It's a beautifully complex narrative, and I'm going to ask Buket to do a short reading.
Now, okay. I wish I would have chance to read in Turkish, but I'm reading just a small chapter in English. I am Istanbul, city of cities, mistress of metropolises, community of poets, seat of emperors, favorite of sultans, pearl of the world. My name is Istanbul, and my subjects call themselves Istanbullu. And of all the world's cities, I am without doubt the most magnificent, mysterious, and terrible, a city upon whose shows pagans, Christians, Jews, and unbelievers, friends and foes alike, have found safe harbor through the ages, a place where love and betrayal, pleasure and pain live side by side.
That's lovely. It's a very powerful piece, Bukit. You have your major concerns since you've studied ecology and environmental science. Your concerns while you're writing a book like this are not just telling the story or portraying Istanbul as a city. Your concerns are far more deeper, since you mentioned that eco-literary criticism is one of your concerns.
Yes.
So how do you manage to knit that into this book?
Actually, it's an old saying. I'm sure in the Indian literature you have the similar feeling, because most of the poets in the world are male. The languages and the rights for writing was forbidden for women for many centuries. That's why the feminine poetry had been kept only in the oral voices. So that's because most of the poets are men. Those city poems, adored city poems, are always dedicated to a female, because cities then turn into a female. That's why when I was trying to write this novel, I wanted to put a character as an Istanbul herself. But then I had this dilemma, because in a traditional way, the cities are always described as female. But what I wanted to do something different. I tried and tried, but the voice of Istanbul had been always so female, because it's Istanbul is the only city. There is this water, the sea is passing through in both sides. There is no other city like that, and the water means very feminine progress, and it's like, it takes lots of immigration, and it's all saying that Istanbul has even the stones are gold. That means that immigration is still flourishing. So it's very feminine power there, that it's the reproduction is going on there. That's why
regeneration.
Yes, the power of femininity. And that's why I took Istanbul. Even it was the problem for me, the risk of having the cliche that the city is again a female. But then I put this very strong, old, but still sexy woman. She says, I am the only feminine on the earth, Istanbul says, who never had menopause for 2,700 years. I'm still reproducing.